So welcome to the September Throwdown. So put up your hand if you've done the Throwdown before. Very good, very good. When's the last time you were at the Throwdown?
2013.
Awesome, okay. So, so the Throwdown, first and foremost, is a learning experience, okay? We only have this learning experience because the people around here are taking a risk with you, okay? They're taking the risk that they might get hurt. They're taking the risk that they might hurt you, right? And, you know, we're all taking the risk that we might win or we might lose. And I think that this is where you have to look around the circle and respect the people that were going to take that risk with you, that are going to take that risk with you tonight, okay? Because the Throwdown is a fight by challenge, right? This means that we're going to make an agreement, and then we're going to fight to that agreement because we have a question about, you know, what would fighting this guy, you know, with these sets of rules be like? Now, if you leave that set of rules, then you're not honoring your agreement, which is kind of a very sad thing for people studying warriorship to end up doing. Okay, but we're going to try and keep those agreements because within the limitations of those fights, we're going to learn something. Now, maybe we know that if we had amped up at some moment during the fight, that we could have got in, you know, that we could have gone and done the move that we wanted to do. But it's not safe, right? And it's not what the other person's prepared for, right? Or maybe, you know, somewhere in there you get hit extra hard, right? And now the inclination is to go harder, right? And escalate. So when we escalate, both of us go out of that agreement and it starts getting really, really risky. Now I realized when we started this thing, and I have my partner was very much against this at the beginning because of insurance reasons. I realized that we are pushing the envelope of risk, right? Even doing the light fights, well, that's pretty safe, right? Doing the medium fights, you can get it cracked pretty good. You know, you could break your orbit, you know, and not see straight for the rest of your life. That could happen, right? You could break your nose, yeah. You could break a joint, you know, and it's going to cost you 6 to 8 weeks, right? People could get concussions. These kinds of things can happen when you get up to real level contact, right? And the seriousness of that goes up if you guys are fighting for submission in a full contact fight, or if you're fighting for a TKO or a KO, right? And it just keeps going up from there. So if, you know, it's one thing to fight. I've done each level of that kind of fight, right? I've done light fights. I've done controlled fights with different regulations on it. And I've done full contact fighting with the Dog Brothers. And I'll tell you something, none of them are real fights. And the reason they're not a real fight is I know what I'm getting into. Each time, I knew what I was getting into, even if I didn't know the fighter and I didn't know their style. I knew the level of risk. And that's why we keep our word about whether we're going light, medium, or hard. Is anybody unclear on what the definite differentiations are? Yeah? So a light fight is this. In a light fight, I'm going to pull my contact. I'm going to try and land with the leather, not with the padding, not with the knuckles. Right? I'm going to try and land the thing with my elbow still bent or my knee still bent, so I know if I wanted to, I could have pushed through, I could have followed through on my shot. Yeah? You know, I personally don't give myself credit when I'm at full extension and I touch, right? Because then I know I wouldn't have been able to hit them with power. In light fight, we try to protect one another from mishaps, from mistakes, especially since in the light fights, that's when we let our new Throwdown people, who's first Throwdown, anybody? That's when we let our new Throwdown people get a feel for what it's like in there. And the veterans of the Throwdown, it's your responsibility to make sure that if they do something really dangerous to themselves, that you don't A, capitalize on it and knock them out, or B, you don't get yourself hurt on it either, right? So that's kind of why we have the light fights, is so that people can introduce themselves safely to fighting, to sparring. The medium fights is because we want to see what happens when we throw with real contact. Right? Because I know that you're going to say, oh, I'm only going to go like medium power. But it's not true. Like as soon as you take that first hit, you're swinging, right? And it may not be like you're trying to break their skull, but you're swinging hard, right? And really, you know, the harder you try to swing in a fight, kind of the less effective it gets anyway. So, but you're hitting for real. And the thing with a medium fight, and this is the important part, when we hit them and their defense drops, when we hit them and they're staggered, we give them quarter. We give them a second to recover. We look to see if they're going to get back to covering themselves. Whereas in a full contact fight, we'd be like, opportunity, and we try to finish. Yeah? That's where the distinctions lies. Is there any lack of clarity? Okay. So, here's the thing about okay, let's just take a look at that. About the card. Please print your name clearly, first and last name. If you've chosen to have an alias on your registration, that will happen in our database and your name will come out. But for the purpose of building our database, we need real name, okay? And we need it printed legibly, which gets worse and worse as you fight more and more, right? So you get pretty shaky as the night goes on. We're going to have light, medium, full contact. We just described that in detail. We have different types of fights. It's MMA, right? So kickboxing, boxing, grappling, and then weapons. Weapons, I assume that you're doing MMA with weapons. I just assume, like, if you're using weapons, everything else is in also. So if you're planning on just playing stick tag, then you say, no, stick only, down in the comment section, or restriction section, right? If you've said, like, you know, no shots to the head because I had a concussion in the last month, then you put that in restrictions, okay? You know, or
if you guys are fighting, you should be here.
Yeah, for sure. Or you say, stay away from my knee, right? Now over here, weapons, sticks, swords, training knives, other, and then a line to specify. So if someone brought umbrellas and briefcases this time, that's where you put it, okay? That was a really fun fight. Let's see. We'll go back to the beginning then. The most important thing here is that you respect one another, okay? When the fight is over, a sign of respect, like a handshake. I tend to find when people have a really good fight and they pushed each other hard and they respected their agreement, that people just naturally like stand up and hug each other. And I want to see that. I want to see that because that's, you know, I see that with the Dog Brothers. I've seen that everywhere where the what's on the line is what you're learning from the fight, okay? You know, it might be different if you're prize fighting, but that's not what we're doing here, okay? And here's the last thing. In terms of the filming, I am still going to let you guys film your own fights today. However, last Throwdown, there were fights, more than one, where the ref had to call the fights because people escalated beyond their agreements, okay? In one of those instances, the person took it upon themselves to edit out the times that they were reprimanded and post a video of their own where it looked like they did very well, but in reality they broke their agreement. If that ever happens again, I am restricting all filming and I will be doing it only, okay? In fact, I may do that in the future anyway, and that way the only way that you can get film is by waiting for me to finally post it. Which, by the way, the last fights are now finally posted. I'm sorry, but I got busy. So, also, I was really concerned about how to address that issue. You know, about editing the videos. So if anyone does put up video, their own video, do not edit it, okay? Don't edit out the referee telling you, you know, chill out, or, you know, pick your hands up or whatever. Right? And don't edit out the, you know, whatever happens. Because it's gotta be honest. We're not here about win-lose, we're here about learning. Yeah? Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay, so we're gonna have the camera go around. I'd like you to say your name and your age, and that is going to be your agreement to follow the rules as I've set them out tonight. Okay, any questions about that? So I'll start. I'm Sean Zerger, I'm 45 years old, and we're gonna play by the rules today.
Dexter Chu, 28 years old.
Steve Leeds, 51.
Dennis Yim, 38.
Jonathan Shao, 38.
Matthew Ferrugia, 23.
Artyom Bondar, 31.
David Knighty, 50.
Cal Erickson, 35.
Christopher Seal, 33.
Adam Yap, 26.
Paul Dowman, 42.
Albert Dumichel, 23.
Brian Kennedy, 40.
Carlo, 31.
Gerald Loglock, 36.
Carlo, could I have your full name, please?
Carlo McDonald.
Cesar Ginocchio, 28.
Okay, so that's it. We've all agreed to play by the rules of the Throwdown. Get yourselves ready, get yourselves geared up, and tonight, for at least to get started, we're only going to work on one long rectangular mat. Okay, so fill out your cards over there. When you've got them filled out, come over here and line up and wait for the ref to bring you on the mat. By the way, in between the red pads over here will be the camera. Please do not stand between that and the mats because the camera will be blocked. Okay, thank you.